And now, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time to watch Fred Talks Fighting.
This is Fred Beck from Fred Talks Fighting. Today, I'm very lucky we're joined by Justin Gamber. Thank you very much for coming on, Justin.
Yeah, no problem, dude.
What's been going on with you, Justin?
It's Valentine's Day, buddy. My girlfriend is, she's been on me all day about Valentine's Day. So we have a whole day planned. That's about it, man.
That sounds all right. So Justin, you're obviously an incredible coach. You've made successful boxers in the past, and now you have as well. Who originally taught you to box, though?
How did I get into boxing?
Yeah, how did you get into boxing? Who taught you to?
My dad took me to a gym when I was 8 years old, 8 or 9, I can't remember. And my introduction, actually, let me backtrack a little bit. My introduction to boxing was my dad taking me to E4 when I was 5 years old. And from that moment on, I was just enamored with boxing. I mean, that's what my life, that's all I cared about. But I went to the boxing gym for the first time when I was 9. My dad took me to the boxing gym, and then I competed as an amateur, inconsistently as an amateur until my mid-20s. And then I started coaching. But boxing's been my passion since I was literally 5 years old. Like when I was in school for show and tell, I took boxing equipment. My teachers always had to take my ring magazines away. I don't get them anymore, though. I haven't gotten them in like a couple years, though. And there's a reason for that.
What's the reason?
Oscar De La Hoya owns the Ring magazine. Did you know that?
No, I actually didn't know.
Yeah. Oscar De La Hoya bought the Ring magazine a few years ago. And unfortunately, I love the Ring magazine. But unfortunately, it feels very biased now.
And I thought Oscar De La Hoya was your favorite fighter when you were growing up, though.
He was my favorite fighter when I was growing up. He's not necessarily my favorite promoter as an adult or, as a boxing coach. But, I respect him. And obviously he's a good promoter. But, I mean, reading, the Ring magazine shouldn't be biased. It's called the Bible of Boxing, and it shouldn't be biased. And I feel like it is, man. I feel like they don't give much credit at all to PBC fighters because De La Hoya does not like Al Heyman. They used to work together, but Al Heyman took all of his fighters away from Golden Boy, and Oscar has been pretty mad ever since. So he kind of sticks it to Al every chance he gets. And you know what? That's fine, but don't do it in the Ring magazine. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand. I get your point. I feel like most people, they loved Oscar as a fighter, but they dislike him as a promoter. But then, so you're saying how you love boxing since age of 5, and you obviously still do. What's the transition like from being a boxer and then turning into a coach?
Well, what was the transition like? That's a good question. I didn't really feel the transition so much because coaching was new to me. It was foreign to me. I had done like little league, like baseball coaching a little bit, but I'd never boxing before. So, but I knew that I enjoyed it, and I knew that I was good at it. There was a point in my mid-20s when I was 25 where I was considering turning pro, but I also wanted to coach at the same time. And I tried to train for a pro fight while I was coaching, and I just realized that you can't do two things 100%. And I really, really loved coaching, and I felt like I could be a really good coach.
And you're obviously a very good boxing coach. Being a boxing coach yourself and also being a great coach yourself, what would you say is the difference between a great boxing coach and then like an average good boxing coach?
I mean, I'll tell you this, it's very, very, very difficult to make a living as a boxing coach. I mean, unless you're doing fitness classes or doing like personal training on the side, or it's hard to find a fighter. It's hard to develop fighters to a point where you can, earn a living doing it. I was fortunate. I had a mentor. Her name is Christy Halbert. She was my first boxing coach mentor. She was an Olympic coach in 2012 for the USA. And she kind of took me under her wing. She gave me a paid apprenticeship when I started coaching, and that was in 2006. I got to experience a lot of cool things with her. Like I was an assistant coach on a national PAL team in 2007 because of Christy. And I just got a lot of experience from that. But there's a lot of sacrifice. Unless you are connected, unless you're born into the game or you're connected into the game, then it's very difficult. And most people, like most coaches, have to have other jobs while they're, trying to make dreams come true. There's a lot of sacrifice involved. I haven't had another job since I started coaching. I've been blessed, but there's been a lot of sacrifice for me too. There have been a lot of times when I didn't have, a ton of money. I didn't have much money. Sorry. But the difference between a lower level coach and, it's really passion. It's passion, and not only passion, but it's having a knack, a natural talent for it. But boxing's my passion. So, it's easy for me to coach boxing because I love boxing. And, a lot of people could say that, but that kind of goes back to the knack for it, the natural talent for it. And it's just like anything, man. You got to have some ability, you got to have some talent, and then your passion, your discipline, your dedication. You have that, you add that into the mix, and then you can go places.
That sounds awesome. And so let's talk about your fighter, Caleb Plant, who did a great win just over 2 weeks ago against Caleb Trunks. What were your I spoke to Caleb Trunks yesterday, and he spoke about the fight, and he knew he'd lost it. But what were your thoughts on Caleb Plant's performance?
There were, I thought it was a solid performance. He was fighting a former world champion. He won a shutout on every judge's scorecard. He actually, I think he passed your countryman, Billy Joe Saunders. He passed him as the best defensive boxer, according to CompuBox stats, as the best defensive boxer in the super middleweight division. Basically meaning that Caleb holds his opponents in his career on average land 6.6 punches against him around, and that's the fewest in the super middleweight division. So, there are some good things that came from it, the fight with Caleb Truax, but there were some, things that I know that we need to sharpen up and improve on as well. We're doing all right. We have some things we need to work on, and sharpen up, but he's doing good. I'm happy with it.
I thought it was a good performance by Caleb Plant, but you mentioned those CompuBox stats there about his defense and not being hit. But doesn't that depend on the opponents that they've both Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Plant have both faced though?
Sure. Yeah, it does. But at the end of the day, it's, we fight who we fight. And so we just take the stats from whoever we're fighting, and we go with that. I honestly haven't seen a whole lot of Billy Joe Saunders. I saw his fight with Lemieux. I've seen some of his bigger fights. I think I saw his last fight. He had a tough fight. And but then he came back in the end to score the stoppage in his last fight. But as far as, his level of competition, I know that he fought, what's his name? Chris Eubank Jr., David Lemieux. But I honestly can't name another fighter. Even the guy that he fought in his last fight, I don't remember his name. I heard Eddie Hearn kind of bashing Caleb's level of, or his opposition, his record, his resume recently in the news. And it's just funny to me that, Jose Uzcategui was there who DeGale literally just vacated the belt instead of fighting him. He didn't even retire. At least say you're going to retire and then just come back 6 months later. He just gave up the belt. He said, I don't think I want to fight this guy. This guy's pretty mean. He's pretty tough. And so we were biting at the bit to fight that guy. And then Caleb fought him and he did great. But the second that he beat him and he did it the way that he did with not much trouble, then it's like that monster, Uzcategui, he's not, it couldn't possibly be that Caleb Plant is that good. It has to be that Uzcategui isn't what we thought he was. No, he was what you thought he was. We're just better. That's all.
I mean, you get that in a lot of boxing. Just last night, you thought that Josh Warrington everyone thought Josh Warrington was going to destroy Lara, and then no one knew who Lara really was. And you should never blame a fighter for their lack of competition, because a fighter's job is to go out there and fight.
Absolutely.
Everyone in the super middleweight, 168, wants to fight Canelo.
For good reason.
How do you think Caleb Plant matches up against Canelo?
I love that matchup. I think stylistically, it's just it's a great fight to watch. You know, if anybody, if there were people that were disappointed with Caleb's last fight against Truax, like if it wasn't action packed enough for them, stylistically, Caleb against Canelo is an atom bomb. I mean, it is a beautiful stylistic matchup for the fans, and I'm not going to get into it much stylistically and strategically, but just know that I'm happy with that fight, and not just because of the money. I'm happy. I'm happy with my dog in the fight. I have a lot of confidence in my dog, and I have no doubt whatsoever that we're going to come away with all 4 belts when it's all said and done.
Well, Canelo only has 2 fights a match in boxing. One's with Theorem, and then one probably with Billy Joe Saunders. And after that, we have free agents. So he can always sign for the PBC. And I've only got one more question because I know you're a very busy man.
Mm-hmm.
If you, apart from Canelo, who else would you like to see Caleb go up against?
You know, honestly, I don't even think about those things. I honestly don't I've always made it a point as a coach to stay in the present. And, you know, I've seen a lot of coaches talking about, you know, what they're going to do when their fighter makes this money, or when their fighter gets the belt and whatnot. And I never thought about those things. I never thought about money. I never thought about the belt, because I didn't want to. I felt like, well, first of all, I felt like everybody I heard talking like that, they never got to that point. And I felt like, you know, instead of talking about it and thinking about it, maybe I should be working right now and just moving in that direction. And it's the same way with his opponents. I really don't. A lot of people are talking about David Benavidez. That's a fight that I would be opposed to right now, for me personally, because David Benavidez has not shown, well, first of all, he's a 2-time champion, but he doesn't hold a belt, right? So what happened? Well, he failed a drug test for cocaine, was stripped. Then he won it back, and then he couldn't make weight. This is a very undisciplined, unprofessional athlete. And, you know, he hasn't even proven that he's in the same weight class as Caleb. He hasn't proven that. Like, he's a light heavyweight, basically. And people are talking about David Benavidez. You know what? He needs to earn his way back there. He needs to, well, it looks like the belts are all tied up right now, and they're going to be. But he's like the last guy on my radar, because we were thrilled. We wanted that fight. But the guy just keeps shooting himself in the foot, man. He just keeps destroying his career. And it's like, I don't even want to waste my time with him anymore. And so that's one guy I'll tell you that's like, if he proves that he can make weight, and if he proves that he can do it consistently, because we used to train in the same gym, and I've seen him walk around the gym at literally 230 pounds plus walking around, and he cuts down to 168. And that's just insane. You know, when he shows that he can even fight in the same weight class as us, then, you know, that's something that we'll look at. He's not on our radar right now.
That's a very good point about him not making the weight. So thank you very much for your time, Justin. I really appreciate it. I understand you're very busy.
I do.
And where can people find you on social media
at? You can find me on Instagram at Coach Justin Gamber, and pretty much all I have for social media. And I'm not I'm not a social media guy, so like if I'm posting on there, it's soak it up because it doesn't happen very often.
All right. So thank you very much for your time, Justin.
Yeah, man. Take care.